Elizabeth Hines here from our Paleo family and the Autoimmune Free Cooking Club. Welcome back to my kitchen. We have another great Instant Pot recipe for today. We're making a quiche. People call these different things, but I'm going to call it quiche. We're going to use hash browns, frozen hash browns to make the crust. We're going to have some meat, some veggies, even cheese. We're going to be really indulgent. This will be a great keto recipe. Yes, even with the potatoes. I'm using just a very small amount, so it will still work for your keto diet. If you are, well, you wouldn't be eating this on the autoimmune paleo diet because there are no eggs. So let's just say if you are not wanting to eat white potatoes for whatever reason, maybe you're sensitive to nightshades, absolutely you could use sweet potato, or you could just not have that crust. It would work totally fine. My family loves the hash brown crust, so I'm going to include that. So for something that seems like such a simple recipe, this one has had a lot of trial and error, believe it or not. Like I always do, I spent some time just researching, looking at other people's recipes, seeing what worked. When I'm talking the Instant Pot, I'm generally more interested in their cooking times than their ingredients. As far as I know, there's not another Instant Pot Paleo YouTube channel. I don't really consider myself an Instant Pot channel, but I know a lot of you are here for that. So I acknowledge that I have a lot of Instant Pot recipes. But there are a lot of other Instant Pot channels that are great, but they're not paleo or primal or keto or whatever. So I look at some of those other Instant Pot experts for ideas, and I'll tell you what, this one, the cooking times have been really all over the place, and my own personal experimentation has also been kind of all over the place in terms of the cooking time. So I just say that to tell you it's okay. It's okay if you open it up and like, oh man, it's not done. It's going to need 5 more minutes. You know, that may be irritating, but it's not the end of the world. Your dish isn't ruined. It's going to be fine. It's just food. Okay? So I'm cooking a ½ pound of sausage right here in the bottom of my liner on sauteed Moor. And as long as you're going to be right here and not, you know, running around, just put it on Moor. It's the highest setting. It'll cook a little bit faster. If you maybe have little ones that you're needing to run after at any given moment, you may want to go with the lesser normal setting that gives you a little more flexibility to be absent from the kitchen for a minute. So I'm just cooking this a bit. My family loves bacon, like any good self-respecting paleo family. We love our bacon. And so they, of course, want bacon in this. So my son, who is a Boy Scout, likes to cook this thing called Mountain Man, which is a breakfast dish when they go camping, and they use a Dutch oven, and there's bacon and sausage. And when I'm involved in either buying the food or if I'm on the trip, there's some spinach or bell peppers, some kind of vegetable in there. Eggs, cheese, hash browns, just like this super hearty breakfast thing. So in his mind, in their minds, because he's made it for our family camping trips, it has to be bacon. It can't just be sausage and bacon. Or just sausage. It has to be sausage and bacon. Well, if you put the bacon in here at the same time as the sausage, it won't get done. You need to cook them separately. Either cook your bacon till it's really almost done. Ideally, you would cook your bacon all the way, take it out, and then cook your sausage. Or you do like I'm doing tonight and just cook your bacon separately. So I have 4 slices of bacon on my stove over there that I am cooking. So I'm running back and forth. And I'm going to just steal a little of the bacon fat out of that pan because I want to use that to grease my springform pan. Okay, so it's really steamy tonight. Sorry, this is my rattiest apron, but cooking the the bacon is going to splatter all over my 15-year-old denim shirt here, and I love this shirt and I don't want it to get ruined, so let me put my apron on real quick. Okay, so sausage is done, so I'm going to just turn that off while I talk to you for just a second. So typically I would either cook my bacon ahead of time or cook my bacon separately, or don't use the bacon at all. You don't really need it. You could do Canadian bacon, you could do ham. Either of those would cook in, or even turkey bacon would cook in the same amount of time as the sausage. But if you want to use real pork bacon, you need to cook it separately. I would put my sausage in and then I would start chopping my vegetables. And I just so happened to make my husband's quiche. I make like a big 9x13 quiche. And then I just cut that into serving sizes, and he set up for his breakfast all week. It goes in the freezer. So I just cooked extra vegetables so I would have them for this dish. So normally put the sausage in, chop your vegetables, get them in, and they could all cook together. And what you want is about 1.5 cups of cooked veggies. So I have 1.5 cups of cooked veggies here. And then I have my sausage. So I'm going to get that sausage out of there. Actually, no, that's what I need to do first. So I just got a little of that bacon grease. You could use whatever kind of cooking fat you use. I know you're not using canola oil or sunflower oil or any of those inflammatory oils. I know you're not doing that. So you would be using grass-fed butter or ghee or coconut oil or avocado oil, right? Those are the ones you would be using. So these are shredded hash browns. These are from Sprouts. They probably sell them at other grocery stores, but honestly, that's the only place I can find them locally. And they're only potatoes. It's organic shredded potatoes. There's no salt, there's no starch, there's nothing. It's just potatoes. So just put in enough to cover the bottom of your pan. I mean, it's just a teeny weeny little bit, okay? And then start layering in the other stuff. So here I have, these are my veggies, 1.5 cups. I had a yellow bell pepper, a red bell pepper, spinach, and mushrooms. And it's real hot. It's real hot on my fingers. My bacon's still cooking, which is no problem. I'm going to pull my sausage out. And it's not real fatty, but as see if I can do it so I can show you. I'm just sort of pressing with my spatula here, and the grease will stay down in the bottom. You could, of course, take it out and drain it on paper towels if you wanted to, but I find that this works pretty well. So y'all, I got flustered there, and I was careless, and I was wiping the grease off of the rim of my pot, and I just put my hand under it, which of course it had been on. The element had been on. It was very hot and burned my hand, so I immediately rinsed it under cold water, and then I grabbed my soy sauce. We don't eat soy. Soy's a legume. It's inflammatory to a lot of people. We don't eat it, but I always have a bottle of soy sauce in my fridge because the sodium in it will help to pull out the heat, I guess. I can't explain that to you medically or physiologically what's happening, but I mean, I put my hand right here, this whole part, right on the bottom of my Instant Pot. It's very hot. So I rinsed it under cold water, which I know some people say not to do that, but it absolutely works. And then I poured soy sauce over it and just kept rinsing it with water. I poured on more soy sauce, just about a minute, and it's fine. So have some soy sauce on hand. Let me scoop out my bacon. Okay, so I'm just draining that so it doesn't get greasy. Okay, so I've kind of layered in. I had my hash browns, my vegetables, and my sausage. I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to mix up my eggs. Sorry. If you're going to use cheese, which if you really miss cheese, if you've given up dairy, you're feeling better, and you're ready to try a little bit, the two things I would recommend, the things that most people tolerate, they tolerate any dairy if they tolerate it well, It is grass-fed butter and aged cheeses. So I would start with like a Parmesan and or a cheddar. Those are going to be the most, the easiest on your body. So a little bit of bacon. And you know, I said to cook your bacon separately. Actually, I've never had this brand before. So let me pull out 5 or 6 pieces and give that a taste, see if I like it. The reason to do that is because it would not get crispy. It would be kind of soggy in there, but you would absolutely have the bacon flavor, and it would be fine. If it's a little bit soggy, that's not the end of the world. That's just the reason why I do it. I want it crispy going in. It's just a preference. I feel super flustered today. This is my second video. Maybe that's why. But this is a simple recipe, but I do need to talk to you about altitude. So where I live, we are at, it's like 300 feet above sea level or something. So pretty low. These are, you know, the fresher your eggs, the more crumbly the shells, and got a couple pieces in there. So we're close to sea level. If you're at a higher altitude, you're going to need to increase your cooking time. And, you know, I think it was my husband's idea. I'll credit him. I was telling him that it was taking so much longer to cook than the recipes I had seen. And he said, maybe it's the altitude that's the difference, which I can't imagine there would be that much difference. Somebody's living at a lower altitude than me, that it would take so much less time than what I was seeing, but maybe. So you're probably at least my altitude or higher, so you may need to add some time. And I found a really good website. It's called the healthyinstantpotrecipes.com, and I'll link that particular page where she has a conversion chart. And obviously I haven't tried it because I can't change my altitude here. But you could try it and let us know if her conversions, or he, I'm not sure who the author of that website is, if their conversions are correct. But keep that in mind when cooking something, well, when using your Instant Pot in general. But I found that like with meats and soups and things, it doesn't seem to make much difference. But for something like a quiche or this is coming, sticky toffee pudding, so good. So like a cheesecake, something like that, you're going to want to pay attention to those altitude recommendations. If you have egg liver meats, I gotta wash. Now I have to tell you, my hand is not burning. It's such a miracle. I'm so thankful to have learned that trick so many years ago. So I have 8 eggs, 1/3 of a cup of milk. I've used almond milk. And I need 1/2 teaspoon of mustard powder, which you don't have to add that in, but it's really good. I mean, I would if you have it. If you don't have the mustard powder, could you use regular prepared mustard? I would think that you could. I don't know how that would turn out. It would taste different for sure. Some pepper. I don't want a whole bunch of black pepper, which is a good thing since that was empty. Just the amount I wanted. And I want 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I think that says 1/2 teaspoon. Yes, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I'm just gonna whisk that together. And I'm gonna slowly pour it over my eggs. I tell you, you don't have to wash your Instant Pot. It'll get kind of steamed during the pressure cooking, and that will help clean it for you. I'm gonna put some foil around the bottom of my pan. This one is pretty good. I mean, it's not leak proof, but it doesn't leak terribly. I really like my eggs beaten well. I hate it when there's like the blob of white. I know, that's just a weird thing. I just don't like it. So I've got my veggies, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I might need a little bit more salt than that. Let me think. I usually do 1/8 teaspoon for, yeah, that's right, 1/8 teaspoon for 2 eggs. So that was 1/2 teaspoon, so that was right for 8 eggs. The milk, yep, that's it. So all my yummy stuff is in here. I'm going to slowly pour my eggs in, and they will just sort of fill in all the cracks. I sort of packed my stuff down in there, my ingredients. One thing I saw people do was put their cheese on top, like put the eggs in and then put the cheese on top. If you're going to use cheese, you definitely want to put it down first and then pour your egg over top. Okay, so we need the rack. That is good. Welsher, dry rubbed. Y'all, we're going to be eating late. I was doing too many things. And this has to cook for 40 minutes. Okay, so foil around the bottom. Got a little piece of pepper. This really is it's not going to stop it from leaking, but it will stop the egg from, if it's going to leak out, keep it from either making your pan really hard to clean, or if maybe it leaked a lot, it could seal across the bottom and then your pot would not pressurize. So I happen to have this little bit of parchment paper left from something else. So I just want to lay the parchment across my pan. And it's going to stay nicely for me. And I'm going to cover it with foil. I just don't want the foil on my food. Okay, high pressure, 40 minutes, again, 40 minutes here in North Carolina. Other recipes I saw said 30 minutes. At 30 minutes, mine was far, far, far from done. Okay, so my rack was just in there flat. The handles are up, it won't sit in there flat. So let me get my sealing ring down in there. Move my gasket to sealing, and I want manual. 40 minutes. It won't take that long to come to pressure, and then we can quick release the pressure tube. Okay, that's it. See you back here in a jiffy. Alrighty, and we're back, and it did come up to pressure in just a few minutes, 3 or 4 minutes, and you can see, what does it say now? 6 minutes have lapsed. That's what the L stands for. Since the pressured cooking time has finished, I just did a quick release, and again, the pressure came out, or the steam all escaped in just a few seconds. So I am going to use my towel to lift this off so I don't get a steam burn. And there's my quiche, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know what I'm going to find because it has worked differently. I feel like I've done the same thing and I've gotten different results. And I'm sure that partly has to do with the specific vegetables that I used, how much they were cooked, how much liquid cooked out, that sort of thing. This is the hardest part, is getting it out of there. So you just want to real carefully, if you have maybe bigger hands, find somebody in your house that has smaller hands, or have some of those silicone. If you had silicone mitts, you could just reach down, that would work really well. I was able to just get my hands down in there and grab a hold of it. And remove the foil. Again, being careful. Number one, there's going to be condensation on the top, so you don't want that water to get down in your quiche. And you also don't want to burn yourself. Have a little jiggly in the center. You know what? I don't think it's done. Man. See how it is real firm to the touch around the outside? And it is not in the center. Phooey. But you know what? Like I said at the outset, if that happens, it happens, and it's not the end of the world. Yeah, that's definitely not done. But we're going to just put it back in. No problem. Put the cover back on. Put the foil back on. And I'm going to pressurize for 8 more minutes. The liquid is still in the bottom. No problem. So you might be asking, why in the world would I do this in the Instant Pot when I can probably bake it in my oven faster? Yeah, you probably could. You could also get this in and go take a long walk, take a bath, help your kids with their homework, clean your house, do some laundry, run some errands. I feel like the Instant Pot is very safe. Haven't heard of it exploding or doing anything crazy. So I leave it all the time. I mean, like when I make broth, it's cooking for hours and hours, and well, 2 to 3 hours. But the coming up to pressure and the coming down and the depressurizing takes a long time when you have it full, like when you're making broth. Absolutely leave or go to bed with it cooking, either way. So I would put this in, go do something else, and enjoy my time, and come back and have a delicious dinner. So we'll let this go. What did I tell you? 8 minutes? What did I set it for? You watch the video, you'll be able to see. And I'll be back in a few minutes to show you it's going to be done. Okay, so 8 more minutes, and I hope you can see the difference here. You know, I showed you it was nice and solid around the outside, and now there's a little bit of jiggle there. If I left it and didn't cut it for a few minutes, we'd have some carryover cooking, and it would be just perfect. You're going to have a little bit of grease if you use any sort of meat, you know, with fat in it, or even just some liquid from the vegetables. And if it bothers you, you can do like I did right there and just dab it. So you want to run a knife or a thin spatula. Let me see if mine's in the drawer. Yeah, this is a Wilton. It's a very thin. Use it for, I bought it for cake decorating, but use it for all sorts of things. So it's a great thing for this sort of application. Just run that around before you release the spring form. This is hot. It's just hot on my hand. Now let me take this off and show you. Just a teeny bit leaked out over here on this side, right at the, I don't know what to call this, the latch. And it's beautiful. You see the layers in there? Use a spatula so we can get the potatoes. It is slightly underdone still right in the center. You see that? But like I said, if I had even just let the pressure come down naturally, it would have been fine. It's kind of frustrating when something doesn't come out perfectly, but it's no problem to just pressurize it again for a few minutes. And this is just that teeny little bit in the center. It's fine. You can even just cut around that if you want and throw that part in the skillet, saute it in your skillet. But I think it's fun to make something different in the Instant Pot. And what I have to go with this tonight are these yummy cinnamon apples that are just ghee, cinnamon, lemon juice, apples, and a little bit of salt. That's like our dessert treat tonight. Okay, so there you have a quiche, frittata, egg casserole, whatever you want to call it, in the Instant Pot in about an hour. I mean, our total cooking time, 50 minutes. Prep time, 15 to 20. So this isn't one of those super duper fast. But if you don't want to heat up your oven, so use your Instant Pot for something like this. Just something different. Experimenting with using the springform pan. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this one. If you have not already subscribed, I would encourage you to subscribe to my channel for lots more Instant Pot recipes and just anti-inflammatory recipes. That's how we cook. We take out the stuff that causes inflammation in our bodies so we can stay healthy and still eat really yummy, delicious food. So subscribe, like, share, hit the little bell, all that great stuff. And I will look forward to seeing you next time.